Now, my second time was a time where everybody was getting into farming, and then I wanted to get into farming as well. And so I had a brother-in-law, who has a PhD in agriculture, who runs a farm, and then, and because the guy is born again, I just assume, okay, this one cannot steal money, right?
Mm.
So I dropped money, I dropped capital, for the farming to happen. And then it was to farm watermelon and pineapple and the rest of them. So, I mean, harvest came first time, the money came. So we said, oh, let's do it again. And I dropped the money. He was doing the farming. So I said, okay, we'll share it. I think it was 60-40 or something. And then by the second time, money stopped coming. Second, third time, money stopped. Okay, what's going on now? Then he says he took the money as a loan to offset some things. Because me, I wasn't looking back. Right? At the end of the nothing came out eventually. I had to just, move on again. So I said to myself, praise, you paid school fees again, right? And the good thing about me is that I've learned over the years, because of the way I understand the working of the human mind, right?
Mm.
I'm able to separate myself from what has happened. I mean, as an accounting student in school, the first thing they taught, I mean, I didn't remember most of the things they taught me when I was studying accounting. In fact, I'm not a proud accountant. I already told my mates I wasn't going to practice as an accountant, but I remember separation of ownership was the first thing they taught us, that you are not your business. So you have to separate your business. Your business can run at a loss. It doesn't mean you have run at a loss,
Mm.
right? And so I quickly learned to have a good relationship with failure and to have a good relationship with shame, because a lot of people have a terrible relationship with shame because of the way shame was introduced to them. And so
Ooh.
I learned that, first from my friend, and from that moment, whenever I suffered any loss, it was the time to reflect and say, okay, praise, what did you do wrong? What could you have done better? How do you avoid this? And what do you need to do? If the people I can negotiate, I'll negotiate. The people I can talk to, I will talk to. But I'm not going to stop being my name. I will always ask myself, what's the worst that can happen and what will not happen? Because when you separate what will happen and what will never happen, then you become very formidable to know what to do. Because what will not happen is that my name is not going to change. I'm not going to become woman simply because I have financial loss. My child is not going to see me now and call me uncle. My daughter is not going to see me and say stranger, right? There are some constants that will never change. And the constant that will never change are the most important thing in this whole equation. Once you have those
Mm.
constants, you can bounce back from anything, right? So these were early lessons I learned, and finally, I'll say that my mom always says to me that if they took everything you have, right, if it was you that produced it, there is a power in you that can reproduce everything you've lost, right? And so I never forget that. So every time I've run at any form of loss, I take my mind back to how I started. I started with nothing. There was a period in time in my life we couldn't even pay salaries when I started my company. Our salary was pepper chicken at the end of every month with Gary Jebu. That was what we would gather and buy one pepper chicken. All of us would share it. We'd drink Gary Jebu. That was all we could afford, right? And so I never forget where I'm coming from to say I grew myself to a level where the me with no kobo, with no dollar, and the me with $1 million, you can't spot the difference really, right? Because once money owns you, then if you lose money, it's going to touch your very core, and your core is what you must preserve, right? I preserve my sense and preserve my core in a way that when what has happened outside of me, has not touched the core within me, then I have a fighting chance of bouncing back, and that's why when people ask me to define happiness, I always say to them that happiness is creating and preventing and sustaining the heaven within you in a way that the hell outside of you loses power over you. So my
Mm.
business protects my core and preserve my core. Once that core is intact, trust me, it's only a matter of time. We will replace everything that is lost.